Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Noah Unleashed. If you're new here, hi! I'm Melball Collins. I like to watch Japanese wrestling. This is Noah Unleashed, a weekly news review show on focusing on pro wrestling. Noah, if you're not new here, welcome back to the glorious chaos that is Melball Collins. So, we've got a really fun show lined up for you today. I'm going to be talking about the Monday Magic show that happened on June 16th. Episode 3. But before we get into that, I need you to like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you comment down below anything you saw on the show that I missed, that you want to chat about. And without further ado, guys, let's get into the show. Alrighty, guys, so we're going to start with match number 1 of the night, which was a three-way match between Danny Duggan, Saxon Huxley, and Alpha Wolf. And when I saw this, I was extremely excited. These are 3 very talented guys, 3 very different styles. And I love the mixing of styles. So let's get into it. So Duggan and Alpha Wolf start off kind of ignoring Huxley and kind of shoving each other and striking each other back and forth before Huxley comes in and does one of the little meeting of the minds yeets into each other's faces. Really funny. Alpha Wolf working Duggan long enough, or working with Duggan long enough to pull him in front of an incoming Huxley with a crossbody before kicking Huxley off the apron to the outside. Duggan with a really quick and impressive counter on Alpha Wolf, tripping him up on the ropes and feeding him a standing drop kick. There was also a run-in back chop by Duggan, followed by a side body slam on Alpha Wolf after Huxley is knocked off the apron again. There is a top rope drop kick followed by a kip up by Duggan on Alpha Wolf, who then proceeds to sneak out to the crowd as a wolf does, sneaking out into the woods. We'll come back around to that later. So Huxley pulls Duggan off to the outside. They start feeding each other strikes and chops back and forth. I only had Japanese commentary, but I believe I heard a Viking strike on the outside, which is like a very, very, very big punch from Huxley. And at one point, Huxley goes for a back chop on the ropes, catches Duggan right in the face. Looked really brutal. There's one point where after the hit to the face, Duggan catches Huxley in an abdominal stretch on the outside there. But Huxley is able to kind of bite the hand. A lot of nom-nomming again happening in Noah, and escapes from the abdominal stretch. However, Alpha Wolf emerges from the shadows and delivers a high fly body press to both of them off the little platform that he had been hiding on. So back in the ring, Alpha Wolf delivers a wicked knife-edge chops to Huxley, but this only fires Huxley up further. He comes back and biting. Again, Alpha Wolf. How's that turnabout? Alpha Wolf's been biting everybody this tour. He kind of got nommed on this time. There was a sit-out double choke slam by Huxley on Alpha Wolf, but Duggan is able to come in and break it up. There are some strikes and a little bouncy off the ropes German suplex that takes Huxley out of the ring and leaves just Wolf and Duggan in there. They begin trading strikes, and Duggan hits a picture perfect brain buster. But then Alpha Wolf fights through the pain, rolls back up, and hits Duggan with a big lariat, leaving both men down. So when both of these guys get back to their feet, they are met with the hands of Huxley, who gets a double choke slam. Looked really, really great. Only gets a 2, though. Duggan reverses the sit-out powerbomb attempt by Huxley into a Boston Crab, but Huxley is able to into an attempt for a Boston Crab. Huxley is able to prevent the turnover and grab him by the throat with the choke. There's one point where Alpha Wolf does a buckle toss to Duggan and then follows up with a John Woo drop kick in the corner for 2, but Huxley breaks that one up as well. Alpha Wolf feeding Huxley strike after strike after strike after strike with the big man not going down. He then has to do this he does a little jump back and forth bit before biting the trap of Huxley again. The nom-nomming. I had to note the finish going in because it was absolutely phenomenal. These three guys, they're just so good together. So Huxley gets hung up on the ropes attempting a big boot on Duggan. Duggan runs in on him with a big lariat, knocks him out of the ring. Alpha Wolf then hits Duggan with a huge thrust kick, which briefly fires up Duggan before Alpha Wolf once again bites the trap, silences the crowd, hits him with a headbutt, sends him to the ropes for a pop-up power bomb, and then grabs him, folds him up and feeds him a Kamagoye knee. Alpha Wolf picks up the win here. Dominant win by this man. Just such a great match. I had such a good time opening this. And I was like, why was this the opener? This was so good. It could have been later, but then again, this show was very, very solid. Match after match after match was so good. You couldn't really, I guess, pick a place for this to be. Fantastic opener. I really love the unique styling that Alpha Wolf has with his size and power. And then there's just the speed and flexibility of that lucha style that he has in combination with that very British strong style that Duggan has, and in combination with the power that Huxley has, these three guys played off each other so well. It was such a good match. What a way to open this episode of Monday Magic. So we're gonna go on as I'm stuttering my words out. It's too early for me. Match 2. Women's tag team match featuring the team of Amira and Johnny Robbie taking on the Great Sakuya and Miyuki Takase. Interesting little story kind of going on here. Very obvious. Amira and Johnny Robbie know each other, work well together. They were communicating throughout the match. They worked very well together. The Great Sakuya and Miyuki Takase. I mean, Takase wanted to be there. I think Sakuya just wanted to beat people up. Very reluctant pairing. Very much a story of Takase going, yeah, we can do this, and we're going to be teammates, and it's going to be great. And Sakuya going, you're here. You're convenient. It helps. But well, let's get into it. Let's talk about what happened in this one. So it was adorable during the entrances because they came in together. Really nice show of team spirit, team camaraderie. Sakuya and Takase dancing together for a little bit before Sakuya does her mist and scares the ever living crap out of Takase. I thought it was adorable. So getting into the match here, we started off with a test of strength between Amira and Takase, which Takase was overpowered by the obviously more powerful Amira, but she was able to come back with a drop kick. So Amira with a powerful shoulder block and body splash in the corner before tagging in Robbie and doing a double thrust kick to Takase for 2 by Robbie. So there was a fun rewind kick that Robbie did on the ropes with Takase, followed by a crucifix pin attempt by 2. Very, very fun, talented, unique moveset that Johnny Robbie has there. Robbie hitting the ropes, but the great Sakuya doing this like little dive in to catch her foot and trip her up to help her partner and give her time to breathe, which she was able to do, and follow up with a cutter before tagging in Sakuya. So the great Sakuya coming in, kicking Robbie on the way over to knock Amira off the apron, and then hitting Robbie with a drop kick before kipping up and doing a little dance, which I love the character of the great Sakuya. It was giving, she does breakdance, but then also giving a little Blackpink in there. I saw. I don't know if anyone caught on to that, but I enjoyed it. So the great Sakuya calling in Takase for a double team on Robbie after knocking Amira off the apron, where they fed her a spinning mid kick, followed by a flipping neckbreaker and sunset flip for 2. So the great Sakuya getting a little distracted after kneeing Robbie when she started dancing around again. Very Ozawa-ish. Ozawa does the exact same thing. He gets a little distracted. He starts, you know, things start to happen. Other people start to capitalize. Robbie does try to capitalize with a roll up, but only gets a 2, and then a backslide immediately after for 2, and then a cross-legged German suplex pin for 2. She was really trying to pick up that win. Unfortunately, Sakuya was able to kick out every time. There was a springboard. What a day. Springboard moonsault by the Grace Sakuya for 2, and she tags in Takase by smacking her in the face. Just team spirit. Big hurricanrana by Robbie on Takase, followed by a lariat driver and a kamagoye for 2. Amira in as she powers through Takase, hitting her with a big suplex for 2. Takase convinces Grace Sakuya to put her foot up in the corner. Nice, okay, team spirit. And after hits Amira with a big brainbuster for 2. Robbie interferes for Amira then, but Takase comes in to help the great Sakuya there. Again, teamwork. It's sort of there. At least it is there for Robbie and Amira for sure. There was lots of back and forth here, lots of glorious, glorious chaos reigning supreme in this match. And while the ref was distracted, the great Sakuya missed Amira and is able to hit her with a spinning heel kick, which sets her up for the moonsault press for the win. Post-match, great Sakuya then missed for Takase. I don't know if she understood what hit her, but man, what a match. Fun little match to show off the ladies. I always love seeing the great Sakuya. Very, very talented wrestler, very unique moveset, very unique character. The misting is fun. It's nice to see someone who's capable of doing it. I mean, obviously, comes from a great line of misters. This was a really fun match. This was actually my first time seeing Johnny Robbie and Amira in a full match. I follow them online. I've seen pictures of them and clips of their matches, but this was my first time seeing a full match, which I'm very, very much a fan of. They got me hooked. Yeah, again, Great Sakuya, really, really fun character, very unpredictable. I think I like the chaotic nature of her. Look forward to seeing her more. So let's move on to match number 3. And this was a 6-man tag team match that featured Daiki Odashima, Shuji Kondo, and Masa Kitamiya taking on Titus Alexander, Robert Martyr, and I think it's Fancy Ryan Clancy. It was very, very interesting match. I had a lot of fun with it. Let's get into it. Kitamiya wearing the trunks again. I like seeing the difference with him. Sometimes he's wearing trunks, sometimes he's wearing the tights. It's very, very fun. You never know what Kitamiya you're gonna get. Kondo not playing ball with everybody, not wanting to shake hands, just hopping out, getting on the apron. Alexander kind of making light of it, doing the little shake thing. It was fun. It was an interesting way to kind of start off the match. You know, not everyone's going to play nice. Kondo kind of has his own thing. So, starting the match here, Kitamiya starts with Alexander, knocking Alexander down with a shoulder block, but Alexander kipping up as he does and saying, nay, nay, sashay away, Mr. Kitamiya. Kitamiya. Alexander taking a hard bump after being denied the drop kick when Kitamiya hangs on to the ropes, but rolling out of the way for the senton, but losing his balance after a kip up and getting rolled up by Kitamiya in the end, leading to a little standoff. Fun little start. These guys are a lot of fun. They were taking themselves seriously, but not too seriously. They were doing serious stuff, but if you know, you know. You need to watch the psychology on it. Alexander and Odashima. Oh my gosh. What an amateur wrestling clinic that these guys put on, just going after each other's feet, doing everything they could. It was so impressive and so entertaining to watch. I am excited to hopefully have a one-on-one match with these guys very soon, because boy howdy, did they set up for it in this match. So Robert Martyr now in with Odashima, and holy heckin' crap. I've seen Martyr before, but I never realized how freaking quick, fast he is. The reflexes on him are just cat-like. It's insane. The reversal after reversal after reversal with these two before Odashima hits him with a big shoulder block was just So good. Such a good start. Clancy in now to face Kondo, who is giving strong Dante from Clerks, I think it is. I'm not supposed to be here today vibes, but Clancy kind of forcing him into a mood where it ended up looking really, really good. New hairdo though from Kondo. Got a compliment that. It looks really sharp on him. Very, very technical part of the match with Clancy and Kondo, keeping Kondo in a headlock for a very good long while before sending Kondo to the ropes and then yeeting himself into in front of him, very a little comically to try to do the trip that was done in the first match there, before leapfrogging over Kondo, then following up with a big hip toss and a neck twist. Very, very fun. Very, very nice. The crowd loved it. We got the fun little pose in the corner with everybody afterwards. Very, very fun part of the match. So Kondo follows up with an atomic drop and a DDT on Alexander before tagging out. There was a gut wrench suplex attempt by Odashima on Alexander, who fights through, and then rolls through and tries to do a release German on Odashima, who lands on his feet. Much again to the crowd's delight. This was such a fun match. The crowd was on fire for that. They absolutely loved it, as did I at 5 in the morning. Alexander gets on his what did I write here? Alexander gets his hands on Odashima to feed him a knee to the ribs before dropping him with a body slam and then following up with a double stomp. So Martyr back in, and he feeds Odashima a bunch of power moves before Odashima can hit a drop kick to take out. So Kitamiya in, feeding Martyr a waistlock backbreaker for 2, followed by a double underhook suplex by 2, or for 2. The power of Kitamiya is just unmatched. It's insane. Backcracker by Martyr to escape Kitamiya because you gotta. There was a back roll double kick that Alexander does. I don't know what he calls it. I haven't been able to find it. We internet trolls need to be better about finding this stuff out. But I really, really like the move, especially when he hovers. It just holds it in the corner, almost like as an extra exclamation point on the end of it. Kitamiya does fight back with a brainbuster, though. Kondo in to help, but Alexander ducks Kondo to hit Kitamiya instead. Alexander follows up with a Rana and prepares to dive, but Kitamiya nails him with a wicked spear for 2. Odashima in wrecking house for everybody, hitting a big crossbody on Alexander. But Alexander gets Odashima in the sharpshooter, but Odashima is able to make it to the ropes. So there is a triple power bomb, very, very shield, by Martyr, Clancy, and Alexander. What am I trying to say there? Alexander for 2, followed by a big top rope moonsault to the outside by Martyr onto everybody, followed by a tope con hilo by Alexander. The finish comes. Odashima is trying several roll-ups on Clancy to no avail. Clancy hits a Russian leg sweep, followed by a massively huge drop kick. Huge height on that to Odashima for the win. Tension post-match still between Alexander and Odashima. Again, I need to see that match. Based on the snippets that I saw from this match in particular, I need Odashima and Alexander one-on-one. That needs to happen. Needs to happen. So, moving on from here, before we got into the next match, Shun Skywalker was on my screen screaming at me. This character is just so funny, so strange. So I had the translations from what I could get based on what I saw, and it said reboot complete. I've been waiting for this moment, the one that ruined my career. Next week, next week, next week. I'll put him to sleep. It's a street fight. Don't run away. Interesting. Interesting. I like Sean Skywalker in his work. Doesn't seem to have a lot of friends in pro wrestling Noah. So I'll have to look into whoever this was who ruined his career, who he thinks ruined his career, because really it could be anybody. Nobody particularly seemed to like him. So from here, we also had the announcement for Wrestle Magic 2025. It showed again all the companies that are going to be involved, which include obviously Noah, New Japan Pro Wrestling, DDT, and Dragon's Gate. So that is going to be happening, I believe, on the 30th. I have to double check on that one, but I believe it is June 30th. So moving on, match 4. We have a singles match between Archie Cole and Kaito Kiyomiya. Archie Cole, very, very hugely popular with the crowd. You could hear them cheering for him the whole time. I don't know if we're just not in Kiyomiya country or what, but yeah, Archie Cole, very, very popular with the crowd, very, very popular with commentary as well. They had a lot of nice things to say about him, or at least I think they did. They were talking a lot about him anyway. So let's get into the match here, guys. So we had Cole jumpstarting and trying to get a one-up on Kiyomiya as quickly as possible, sending him to the outside and hitting him with a tope con hilo. So big back body drop by Kiyomiya, followed by a huge European uppercut. Kiyomiya is very, very good at those solid European uppercuts. A crossbody pin by Kiyomiya for 2, and later a bridging German for 2 as well. Cole takes out the foot of Kiyomiya and then does one of those little head flips into a thrust kick, followed by a brainbuster. But Kiyomiya is able to get out of there. Cole, exhausted from the match, feeding Kiyomiya as many strikes as he can, but you can tell that he's getting tired. He's getting tired. Kiyomiya levels Cole with one forearm strike. Ouchies. Cole comes back in for a lariat, but then it's blocked when he spins and lands a forearm strike instead, and then hits a Canadian destroyer for 2 on Kiyomiya. So jumping knee from Kiyomiya, followed by a shining wizard for 2. Double underhook suplex attempt by Kiyomiya, but Cole flips through, lures Kiyomiya into the corner, and then hits him with a Spanish fly, followed by a moonsault for 2. Very, very fast-paced match when Archie Cole was in charge. There's Shining Wizard from Cole for 2. These guys and their move stealers, I tell ya, getting out of hand over there. So going into the finish here, Cole going up for what I think was a Swanton bomb, but Kiyomiya catches him in a Euro clutch for the win. This was so much fun. I love watching Kiyomiya. I know he's like kind of become like the old John Cena, where some people are not very happy to see him, but he's very facey. He always puts on amazing matches. And this was no different. This was definitely a fun show-off match to show off how good Kaito is, but also to show off how good Archie Cole is. So, moving into match number 5. From here, we have a tag match, which I was super happy about because 2 of my favorites, Hey Yo-Hey and Hayata, were in this one, taking on Hidaka Ikuto and Minoru Fujita. Now neither of these guys I had seen before, but they look pretty cool. Had some really cool ring gear. Fujita particularly had this like kind of pieced together mask. Looked really, really cool. So let's get into the match here. So Hayata and Ikuto starting. Lots of feeling out with each other, lots of tying up, lots of chain wrestling before Hayata hitting his patented shoulder block and double stomp combo. Ikuto answers with a sneaky style in the ropes, though, kind of hanging on and knocking Hayata down. So YO-HEY and Fujita in, and YO-HEY was a little disappointed. The crowd was kind of cheering for Fujita more than him. Became a little bit of a story of YO-HEY trying to win back the crowd throughout the match, which was really fun. Fujita and YO-HEY exchange words before Fujita knocks the champ down and feeds him a body press for 2, then a crucifix pin for 2, but YO-HEY answers with a snapmare and a drop kick. So Hayata back in and back into the rope and gets kicked in the back by Ikuto on the apron, who then holds Hayata for Fujita, but Hayata does move out of the way, causing a collision between the two. But on the follow-up, Hayata is tripped on the bottom rope again, and Ikuto hits a dropkick to his face. Why the face? Leave the face of Hayata alone. Rude. Standing knee drop from Ikuto to, again, the face of Hayata. So rude. So rude. DDT on Hayata by Ikuto. I'm spiking him for 2. He got a good headstand on that one. Hayata able to turn the tides, though, hitting a big jumping high kick and dropping Ikuto. So Hayata is in, hitting a double drop kick knee, a double knee to both Ikuto and Fujita on the ropes before Ikuto hits the champ with a dragon screw. Leg whip. Ouchies. So there was this little thing. I didn't know what it was exactly called, but it was like a wheelbarrow position face palm thing, very similar to like the glam slam that Beth Phoenix used to do. I couldn't remember what it was called, and I obviously didn't take the time to look it up, but that's what it was on YO-HEY. Twist of Fate by YO-HEY to Fujita, though. Shotgun dropkick by Hayata to Fujita in the corner, followed by a second rope moonsault for 2. YO-HEY comes in to help Hayata with Fujita and hits Fujita with a double spinning mid kick. Then they do the high-low, followed by the double thrust kicks, but Hayata only gets a 2. So Fujita fights back, setting up YO-HEY to do a sunset flip on his partner, and then rolling YO-HEY over onto his stomach, trapping both. And while holding Hayata in an FTF, is trapping YO-HEY, essentially like a little sandwich until what was his name? What was the other man? Ikuto comes in and drop kicks YO-HEY, breaking up the move. It was a very fun, unique move. Very interesting little thing going on there. But because it was my guys in the move, I was like, don't do that. Ikuto and Fujita do a DDT on Hayata, but YO-HEY comes in to make the save. Fujita with a gut wrench gut buster, followed by a spear for 2. And Fujita hits a pile driver on Hayata. I screamed a little, but Hayata kicked out at 2, thank goodness. Going into the finish here, Hayata hits a thrust kick and then simply kind of almost like runs into Fujita and kind of pulls him in, pulls in his legs, locks in the head, almost kind of like infinity completion in him, and he's unable to kick out. Very interesting end to the match here, but I was happy. Happy Melball, because Hey Yo-HEY and Hayata picked up the win. So we're going to go into the main event of the evening tonight, which was a singles match between Ulka Sasaki and Fuminori Abe. Very, very interesting match. So I actually didn't know who Abe was going into this one. I want to, though. The character and attitude of him definitely up my alley. So let's talk about it. So no handshake from Sasaki going into this match, despite Abe asking for it. Not overly surprising given the company that Sasaki has been keeping recently. I've mentioned it before on the last episode of Noah Unleashed. I like Keno and his character and his in-ring style, but depending on the time of the year and who he's messing with will depend on how much I want to see him get kicked in the face. Right now, we're in a high want to see him kicked in the face time, and Sasaki seems to be being a little influenced by by Keno, and kind of starting to have this little attitude about him. I'm not terribly angry about it. I'm more annoyed about it, seeing it, but given how well and how good Sasaki wrestles and is, it's hard to hold it against him. So let's get into the match. So we start off, Sasaki slips out of a toe hold by Abe, which forces him down but Abe forces him down a second time. Lots of chain wrestling and kind of like technicality kind of going on with these guys. Both of them obviously having backgrounds in fighting, but they almost kind of had, again, this kind of arrogance about them where they were kind of, they weren't just getting out of the moves, they were doing it like, yeah, why'd you even bother putting that on me? There's some points of it was almost a little too much, but it worked for the story that was being told in this match, which was there was obviously some kind of frenemy thing going on here where they knew each other, they thought it was funny, and they were still working very positively off of each other. So, sliding, hmm, I don't know what I was trying to say here. I think I was just okay. So, a sliding down Sasaki utilizes the slip from one hold to the next. So, as Abe was trying to transition into something, Sasaki would kind of figure out what it was that he was going into and reverse it before he could even really slip it in. It was really impressive to see just how educated these two men were and how they were able to have that kind of prediction about each other and be able to transition into something else. So yeah, these two spent a lot of time reversing and putting on holds back and forth, fighting for dominance in this match, and it was just seemingly a game of anything you can do, I can do better, which ended up being very entertaining and very fun to watch. There was one point where Sasaki catches Abe in a knee lock and twisting the knee very, very unnaturally, but Abe is able to get to the ropes to escape. Abe finding himself almost trapped in a death lock, but then hilariously forcing Sasaki's head back down a couple of times. It was a little hints of comedy throughout the match that kind of brought the roller coaster of emotions around. Abe starts toying with Sasaki at one point. They're trying to do a lockup, and he's got his hands up, and he keeps over here, over here, over here, and ends up striking with the opposite hand. Sasaki, quick learner though, didn't fall for it a second time and straight up dropped Abe to his knees with a strike of his own. Again, little pockets of humor happening throughout the match, and it's very rare that you can see Sasaki break character and kind of start smirking and laughing. He was doing it quite frequently throughout this match, which at some points were him just laughing at the situation, also just points of him being like, oh, okay, I see what's going on. It was a very interesting story that was told in here, given that I had no idea the history of these two going into it. Um, the left arm of Abe became the target of Sasaki throughout this one, as well as the one knee. Um, there was what I called a spinning, spinning, spinning kick into the corner by Abe. It was just a wee, 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 wee. Lots of fun. Sasaki gets Abe into a seated ankle lock, and then they briefly trade strikes before Abe transitions into a sharpshooter, which is then transitioned into a Mexican surfboard. But Sasaki is able to hop out of there and put on an armbar. Again, the transitions of these guys, the way they were reversing everything that each other had was just so good, so entertaining. So let's go into the finish here. There was a lot of strikes going into the finish, obviously, with these two sleeper reversals as Sasaki is attempting to get on his finish sleeper. Sasaki ends up locking in that sleeper, transitions into a backdrop driver, and then holds for the win. This was an interesting finish. This was an interesting match. I had a lot of fun with this show. But it was very interesting to see how this match did kind of finish off. Sasaki did have like a send off for the crowd. They were very, very happy with the show. Show looked to be, I think, a little under 2 hours long. A lot of fun. So, yeah. This takes us into the finish of the show, guys. What did you think of the show? Did you have a chance to check it out? If so, which was your favorite match? What did you guys think about seeing the great Sakuya, seeing the cool character, seeing the breakdancing? Do we want to see her challenge for the GHC Women's Championship in the future? I would love to see that personally. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the show, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your thoughts, comments down below. Let me know what you thought about the show if you watched it. Let me know what you thought about the commentary from me on the show if you didn't. If you're interested in viewing Noah, I will leave a link in the description box below for Wrestle Universe. It is 1,298 yen, or approximately 13-ish Canadian, depending on our dollar at that time of the month. So you can go check that out, as well as getting access to Noah on there. You will also get access to DDT, to Tokyo Joshi Pro, to Marigold, all kinds of Japanese wrestling promotions you don't want to miss out on. Again, make sure you follow OLE, like and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications to be alerted every time we drop a new video. We've got all kinds of stuff coming out, music reviews, wrestling reviews, drag show reviews, Love Island reviews. So stay tuned to our socials to see what is coming out and when. For your daily dose of Melball, you can follow me on that X Twitter thing at Collins Melball. You can follow me on everything else, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Mastodon, Blue Sky at Melball Collins. And that all being said, you guys, I am Melball Collins. Matane.